Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is me, Oleg Korolov, and I continue answering your questions here on my YouTube channel. And because we're still in a lockdown, believe it or not, beginning of August, but we're still there, I'm gonna answer the question that I'm probably getting asked the most during these times. And the question is, what the hell happened to the condition of real estate market here in California, or in Los Angeles to be more specific, since the beginning of the lockdown? In our county, Los Angeles County, lockdown happened around mid-March, and since then, the real estate market has been through a lot. So let's talk about it. Before I started answering this question, I wanted to make sure that you understand that I will be specifically talking about the condition of residential real estate market. I'm not going to touch on a commercial real estate market because real estate market has lots of niches like retail, office, industrial, apartment complexes, and all of those niches behave slightly differently, and they responded slightly differently to coronavirus as well. So we're not going to touch on that, maybe in the future videos. So today we're going to talk specifically about what did coronavirus do to residential real estate market here in Los Angeles. Also, I'm not going to be making projections or predictions for the future. Nobody knows what the future holds. So today we're only going to talk about what actually already happened since the time we all went into lockdown, which feels like 5 years ago. After the beginning of the lockdown, which once again happened mid-March here in Los Angeles, local real estate market went into the shock mode. And here's what I mean by that. Lots of potential buyers lost their income, they lost their jobs, they lost their businesses. So they were not able to participate in real estate market. They were not able to buy a property anymore. So they went out of the market. On the other end of the spectrum, lots of sellers responded very similarly. So they decided to pull the properties off the market. They decided not to sell anymore, or some people that were thinking about selling decided to postpone on that. As a result of those two factors, local activity in a market went down drastically, and the amount of sales that was registered in March or April went down amazingly low. And because both buyers and sellers were affected, the sales prices, interestingly enough, remained the same. There was a small window of opportunity around late March, early April, when the real estate market was still in shock, when you were able to get a very slight 2 to 5% discount in your purchase. But after that, the real estate prices rebounded right away. Around May, when the summer was just around the corner, lots of sellers decided to put their properties back on the market, taking advantage of the lack of available inventory. On the other hand, interest rates continued to go down. And right now, very good qualified borrower can get 30-year mortgage for just under 3%. This is an amazingly low number, one of the lowest numbers we've seen over the last 50 years. And if you can secure mortgage for under 3%, if you're thinking about paying it off for the next 30 years, that is definitely worth analyzing. And that resulted in a spike of activity on the market. As a result of those and some other factors that were contributing to the market, amount of sales in June compared to May went up 44%. This is an amazing increase in sales that we've seen. And yes, if you would look at the amount of sales that happened in June 2020 and in June 2019, you would see that right now we are still selling about 50% less houses than we were last year. So we do see the slowdown. Coronavirus did affect the amount of sales. But if we would look at the average sales price, that number went up about 3%. That indicates to us that even though we are dealing with a lockdown, average sales price in a county keeps going up. Maybe not as fast as it used to over the last 3 to 5 years, but it is still going up, and we are not seeing decreases in prices. And that is happening simply because the amount of people that are interested in buying is still higher than the amount of people that are selling their properties. Supply and demand are still playing the role in real estate market, with coronavirus or without it. So even though we have been dealing with this economic uncertainty for quite a while right now, it did not really affect the sales prices that we're seeing throughout the county. We are still experiencing the lack of inventory. However, we are not experiencing the lack of qualified buyers. With the recent interest rate decrease, we see the spike in mortgage applications, and that's good for the market. So, in a way, not much has changed with the local real estate market since the beginning of pandemic, as interesting as it sounds. In February, we were dealing with a lack of inventory, and this is exactly the same issue that we are dealing with right now. As far as what kinds of residential real estate will be affected by coronavirus the most, I think talking about it right now is a little bit premature or speculative. Nowadays, we can only guess if our life will be the same as it was before the coronavirus. We don't know if we're going to come back to our offices, or maybe we're going to continue working out of the comfort of our home offices. We don't know any of the answers to those questions. Therefore, guessing whether or not we will want to live in apartments or we would want to live in houses that might be a little bit remote or maybe in different states is very speculative, and I would not want to go there. I would be very curious to know whether or not you agree with me on my opinion on how coronavirus affected local real estate market. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Please let me know in the comments down below. Also, subscribe to the channel, and I hope I'm going to see you at the next episode of this questions and answers.